Hello families, this is Miss Gaby from Excel, and today we're going to be talking about kindergarten and school readiness. Now, before we get started, let me ask you a question. Is your child ready for kindergarten? How about you? Are you ready for your child to go to kindergarten? Now, it may seem silly that I'm asking these questions, but the reason why I'm asking them is because kindergarten is a big, exciting change. And it doesn't only affect your child, but it affects the whole family. It is an important milestone in their lives, and it is a fantastic and exciting new adventure. So now, let's go ahead and talk about kindergarten readiness. Okay, let's talk about kindergarten readiness. Kindergarten readiness is very important. So we are going to go ahead and talk about different developmental skills that are important to prepare your children to kindergarten. Now, before we go over this, I want to remind everybody that each child is unique and they develop at his or her own pace. So if your child can do all of these things, that's wonderful. But if your child can only do some of these things, that's good too. Now, we are going to go over the different areas of development that are going to get your child ready. So we're going to talk about verbal skills, phonological awareness, alphabet, writing, reading, math, social emotional, and personal care. Now, kindergarten is a very exciting time for a child, and honestly, is one of the biggest milestones in their life. I know that sometimes we might not think about kindergarten being a big deal, but the truth is that even most adults can remember something that happened in kindergarten or that first kindergarten year. They might remember their classroom or the name of their teacher. The truth is that kindergarten is such a big deal that it sticks with us. For example, I still remember the name of my kindergarten teacher. Her name was Dalia. Okay, now let's talk about language skills. As you can imagine, they're extremely important and needed for kindergarten readiness. So it's important that our kiddos can speak in complete sentences, meaning that they use at least 5 or 6 words, easily to be able to communicate with others. It's important that they know how to ask questions. As you can see, there are children asking questions in these pictures, that they can express and describe their feelings, meaning if something is hurting, something is bothering them, or they feel a certain way, that they can actually describe it to their teacher, and that they can understand directions, meaning that they can follow multi-step directions. That if a teacher, for example, says, take off your coat, hang up your backpack, and have a seat, they know how to do that and that they understand it and can follow it. Now, let's talk about phonological awareness. Wow, phonological awareness is truly important, especially for our kiddos that are learning how to read. It really is really important for our kiddos to have some of these phonological skills already developed, or that at least they have had some exposure to it. It is important that they can sing familiar songs and nursery rhymes, that they can recognize when words rhyme. That they can recognize words that start with the same sound, meaning like the same beginning letter sound, and that they can split words into syllables. Great ways to split words into syllables could be clapping, clapping the syllables like the children in this picture, or even putting their hand under their chin and, saying the word and seeing how many times their chin goes down. Like, for example, with the word pencil, pen, sol. My chin went down twice, so that's 2 syllables, and that's a really neat trick for children to know that each time their chin goes down, that is a syllable. Now let's talk about alphabet skills. Of course, alphabet skills are very needed, not only for reading, but also for writing. It is important for children to know at least 10 letters in the alphabet, especially the letters in their name. And when I say that they know them, I mean that they know them when they see them and they know the name of the letter. The letters in their name, it just comes natural because their name is their favorite word. It's something that is so meaningful for them. However, if your child doesn't know all the letters in their name, that's okay too. They have plenty of time to learn. It is important that children can recognize uppercase and lowercase letters, and that they know some of the letter sounds. Now, let's talk about writing skills. Before we talk in detail about this, I want to say your children are already writers. And it is important that we remind them of that we make them feel like writers because they already are. There are different stages of writing and they're all important. Let's think about some of the things that are important for our children to know before kindergarten. It is important that they know how to hold writing materials, things like crayons, pencils, markers, etc. It's important that they know how to hold it and that they know how to hold it properly. It is important that they know how to express ideas to drawings. You can see here there is an example of a child drawing, and actually this is a fantastic writing stage in this particular picture. You can see that this child has, drawn some people, maybe to tell a story. And you can also see that at the top of it, there are some scribbles that kind of resemble, writing. So this child knows that writing is separate from drawing, and that's a very important, very fantastic stage. It is important that our kiddos know how to cut with scissors. And while you might not think that that is part of writing, it really is, especially because it helps our children with fine motor skills, which are very needed for writing. And that they know that writing is a way to communicate with others, and that writing represents things in the world around them. Reading skills, wow, those are very, very important. It is important that our kiddos know how to listen to stories that are read aloud to them. You can see there is a picture of a teacher in the bottom that is reading a book to some children, that they show interest in reading activities. Now, what are reading activities? Well, things like street signs, grocery list, directions, or even recipes. That they know how to hold a book right side up, and that they know how to turn pages from front to back. It is also very important that children know how to care for books, meaning they're not ripping books, they're not jumping or stomping on books, but that they know how to take proper care of them. It is also very, very important for children to know how to make predictions to a story. If you're reading with your child, take a moment, take a pause and say, what do you think is going to happen next? It helps them with their critical thinking. And of course, that they can pretend to read books using the pictures in the pages. As you can see in the top picture, there are two children pointing at some of the pictures in the book, and they might be telling each other a story. They might not know how to read yet, and they're just telling each other a story through pictures. Then math skills, wow. Now, when we think about math, we just think numbers, right? Well, math is a lot more than just that. So it is important that our kiddos do know how to count, that they know how to count in groupings of up to 10. If your child can count even more than that, well, kudos for them. That's fantastic. But let's focus at least in groupings of 10, meaning that you can grab 3 objects, let's say, for example, and moving one object at a time, you can count with your child that they can count 1, 2, 3, or 5 or 8, all the way up to 10. And that our kiddos can sort by color, shape, and size. Yes, color, shapes, and sizes are really, another area of math, and it is very important. It's also very important that our kiddos know the difference between letters and numbers and what they represent and how they're used. So take the time to explain that to them, and that they can repeat a simple pattern. Now, this area is an area that a lot of children can struggle with, which is social emotional, but it's extremely important. It is important that our kiddos know how to listen to others. Trust me, I know that can be difficult. I have a 4-year-old. She always wants to talk, and sometimes I'm trying to say something to her, and she's like, but mommy, mommy, mommy. She's so excited about her day, and she wants to tell me so much. But sometimes I just wait for her to finish, and then I say, well, now mommy's gonna talk, so I need you to listen. It's important that they work on their listening skills, that they know how to follow rules and routines, that they know how to problem solve using words, and that they can try to regulate their emotions, meaning that they're not having tantrums or acting aggressively, but that instead they can try to calm themselves down and, use their words to express how they're feeling, and that they know their full name. And when I say their full name, I mean first name and last name, and that they also know their parents' full names. Also, if your child hasn't started doing this yet, this could be a really good opportunity for you to start teaching them the phone number of one of their caregivers. You can make it very fun. I know I make a dance with my child for her to remember my phone number, but there are other activities that you can do, like making a play phone and make them press the numbers, or all sorts of other things. Now, this is not a skill that is necessarily needed in kindergarten, but at this age, children, sometimes can move away or be out of sight, or something can happen. And in case of a child getting lost or having an emergency, it's good that they have a phone number that they can use to ask for help. Finally, personal care. Now, what an important area of development is this. Our children, wow, they need to know some things. Kindergarten is very different from preschool. And, you no longer have two teachers. Now you only have one. And teachers sometimes cannot take care of children's personal needs as easy as they used to before, because there were two and there were less children. So it's important that our kiddos know how to independently do some things themselves. For example, going to the bathroom independently. That means all the way, pulling up their pants, zipping up, buttoning, whatever they need to do, that they know how to wash their hands correctly is another very important thing. That they know how to open food containers and packaging for lunch. I mean, lunch sometimes can go very fast. And if you depend on the teacher opening every single person's, food containers and stuff, your child might be waiting for a while and they might not have a lot of time to eat lunch. So teaching them how to do that themselves is wonderful. It's important that children know how to stand and walk in a line, and that they know how to dress independently, meaning that they can put on their jacket and zip it up or button it, and that they know how to put on their shoes in the right feet, and they know how to either tie them or buckle them, or, whatever is needed, for them to put on their shoes. And, well, don't forget to play. It is very important that your children play. There is so much learning that happens through play. Actually, at this age, the best way for your children to learn is through play. I mean, just think about when your children go to a park or a playground. They learn all sorts of things. Many times they count. They learn how to wait for their turn. They learn how to problem solve, because they need to figure out a way for all the children to be able to play at the same time. It's really a great learning experience. And playing outside, it is wonderful. There is tons of learning that happens outside of the house and outside of the classroom, and it happens through play. And I also wanted to share with you guys a quote by Salberg and Doyle from the book, Let the Children Play, that really truly explains how important play is. Play is how children learn and how they form a foundation for their life in society. Play is how children explore, discover, fail and succeed, socialize, flourish, and thrive. Thank you.